You are listening to Seniors Junction podcast. We're preventing seniors isolation one conversation at a time. Your hosts today, Namrata Bagaria and myself, Paul Merkley. Our special guest today, Daniel Morello. He's the co-founder of Up to Speed and TechServe. Welcome, Daniel. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Hello, Paul. Hello, Namrata. Thanks so much for having me. So like Paul said, I am the co-founder of Up to Speed and TechServe. So my story kind of first started off with TechServe, which is a free technical support service tailored for older adults, where we mainly focus on helping seniors stay connected with loved ones during the COVID-19 pandemic, helping with things like how to use Zoom, social media, etc. And then after the success of TechServe, what we saw was that there was a need for more of a premium service for specific industries like the retirement, the healthcare, and the pension industries to help with more immediate technical issues and expand to solve the digital divide as a whole. So through acceptance into the Next 36 Startup Accelerator, we started Up to Speed, which is a marketplace for universal technical support and education tailored for older adults, where we provide immediate video and written tutorials, technical support that works very similar to requesting for an Uber driver, where you send out a request for support, it's sent out to a sea of independent contractors, and then you're provided pretty much immediate support, as well as one-on-one and group educational lessons.
Excellent. And I must say kudos on your initiatives, because we've heard about you through so many of our guests, through so many people in general in the community. So you're really doing a good job. And of course, Seniors Junction can piggyback on your success, because we need older adults to use technology to use what we do. So my question to you is, you must have come across isolation as a pain point while doing the work that you do. So can you tell us what were your experiences with senior isolation?
Yeah, so I think from the beginning, I think we can all admit or know that even before this COVID pandemic situation was happening, social isolation was already occurring among a lot of seniors, and it was really COVID that brought to light how bad the situation was and how worse it got due to the physical distancing measures. So in terms of my perspective, it honestly started with my grandparents, who actually live with me, and this is kind of how it sparked the idea for TechServe. Was they were having trouble staying in contact with loved ones in Italy, and I saw that telephone interactions simply weren't enough for them. So through helping them with learning video chat platforms like FaceTime and Facebook Messenger, I saw how much happier they were to see the faces of their loved ones, because they were so concerned about them. And then just through seeing that and diving into the literature, I saw one, how bad the issue was, and two, how poorly understood it was, and that a lot of these perspectives, and I'm sure you guys have experienced through other episodes, really how we started to unpack and understand the social isolation situation. So in terms of the kind of experience that I've had with TechServe and Up to Speed so far, sometimes it's reached a point where a person calls initially for a technical support call, but they're honestly just calling for someone to talk to. And it's very sad how socially isolated they are, or so many things that we take for granted, especially people my age, in regards to you don't know how to use Messenger, you don't know how to use Facebook and Instagram, and things that we're so intuitively inclined to be able to use, and just how transformative it is for them. Had someone literally crying because their record player had broke, and they wanted to learn how to use Spotify and something, and being able to listen to their old tracks, or being able to listen to things that were damaged records for them of stuff they used to listen to with their parents, and just hearing them cry on the telephone, and just or someone telling me, or someone who's a regular client being able to contact their loved ones on a weekly basis, or every day. And it really made them understand that with technology, they don't have to rely on family coming once a month, even pre-COVID, but that they can remain in communication with their loved ones at least, or even meet new people using technology.
Thank you. You partly answered this next question, but maybe there's stuff you'd like to add. What is your vision for addressing seniors isolation?
Yeah, and my my apologies for not splitting up the answers a little bit more, but honestly, I think it is technology because, like I said before, this issue isn't solely isolated to COVID. It existed even before. It was just worse and brought to light from COVID. So I think it's naive for people to think once the pandemic is over that seniors are going to be perfectly fine in terms of their level of interaction. It's just simply not true. So I think empowering these seniors to interact via technology will be a means to really address that social isolation and find them a consistent way where anytime they're feeling lonely, to have someone to interact with is really through online platforms. Honestly, there's obviously there are inherent risks with security and people taking advantage, but I think if they're educated properly and empowered, it will really address this issue. And technology is I think, the most important factor in addressing this issue.
Thanks, Daniel. I think I can personally attest to what you say. And I would say conversations are the solution and technology is the medium for it. Because
Yeah,
my father, he passed away a few months ago. And in the last days of his life, we used to use, he was in the ICU. We couldn't go inside. So,
yeah,
we used video calling. And so, I also have a poem written around that about in the end, it was all a screen, right? And
yeah,
that's how you see your loved ones. And so for me personally, I've worked in telemedicine since 2010 or 11. So it's been a decade I've been in this business. But as a healthcare provider, I have never seen onboarding to the level that we've seen now.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's one. I've never seen the acceptance at all stakeholder levels. So what, according to you, are the opportunities and what are the challenges that come into using technology as the center point of solving this?
Yeah, so I think the opportunities created by technology is not just um, limited to social isolation, but I think addressing ageism as a whole, like being able to have like a larger voice and making people understand, being able to express their perspectives of older adults, because it kind of just seems that people, like highly successful people, once they reach a certain age, they're kind of like tossed out in terms of their perspectives and their influence on society, even though a lot of these people, simply talking from a monetary perspective, tend to have a lot more buying power and can have that influence, as well as have a lot of wisdom they could pass on to the other generation. So it's not simply social isolation, providing them economic opportunities to maybe pursue career or reskill themselves into the current workplace, or um, even like getting access to current resources at a faster rate. Like even though Zoom and um, like social media was the most popular issues of TechServe, what we occasionally got a request for, and what we're trying to address more effectively with Up to Speed, is like desire for like online groceries and online resources using Amazon and stuff like that, because a lot of these people have limited mobility. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. And then I think the biggest challenges is, one, the underlying ageism that exists, where what we've seen with calls is that, like, if we don't solve the issue, or the seniors experiencing issue where the issue lasts more than 10 minutes, because society has kind of put it into their head, like that kind of old dog can't learn new trick mantra, um, they get frustrated a lot more easily, because they've been told so many times that they can't do it, even though studies have shown that although there's that initial learning curve, once they get past that learning curve, they can be just as proficient in technology as everyone else. And then obviously the issue with security and educating them on how to stay safe, because unfortunately there are good and bad people in every platform, and technology, particularly using the internet and a lot of online platforms, is ways for people to scam other people. And if you're not educated properly, you can really get manipulated and abused, and see the negatives of an overwhelmingly positive technology such as the internet and using other forms of online platforms.
Mhm, mhm. I think these are good examples, and in fact, even my mother, she she learned so much of new, like she's up to speed with everything, like Google Drive, this and that, because many other companies like yourself in different parts of the world which have come up with this solution of tech onboarding and even nuanced tech onboarding. So my mother joins all these premium workshops, so I can appreciate what you do. So yeah, Paul, what do you think? What's your experience?
I think what you say is right. I'm thinking of my 94-year-old piano teacher who needed a little bit of help connecting to Zoom, but once she did, she thought it was like a miracle.
Yeah.
And now she's has a completely different attitude towards the internet than she did before. Just a little bit of help getting started. So I do think. What advice would you have for a company like ours?
I would say it's just the same as most companies, or what they've taught me in the excellent startup accelerator in X36. Listen to your customers, because at the end of the day, although there's such a wide range of technological competency among seniors where they don't know the bare bones to they're pretty proficient. Getting their feedback is important in terms of creating a solution that is actually effective in terms of inclusiveness. And we're actually working with the Technology Agent Gracefully Lab at U of T, and even they told us like it's hard to develop evidence-based practices for senior digital literacy because people don't take the time to really get the feedback from the seniors, because you have to use a lot more traditional means of getting feedback. Like you can't just send a Google form questionnaire to get feedback. You need to grind, get the calls, get those feedback. But that feedback's the most important thing in terms of determining like the common issues that you need to address, how the customers like the product. And what's great about what I found with seniors in terms of feedback, they'll be honest with you. They won't beat around the bush like a lot of younger generation people my age, which honestly, as an entrepreneur, I appreciate because it just makes it easier for me to address those issues. So just establish a means of getting consistent feedback, because I think that's the fastest way in terms of optimizing a product. People, I think, because I had some experience working in academia doing research, I think there's that kind of that field in academia where you have to collect all the relevant things, get all the data that you can possibly get and make it as perfect as possible right away, or like work and continue to work until it's perfect. Well, more of the entrepreneurial side is release something. It doesn't have to be perfect right away, but getting that feedback and working quickly to incorporate that feedback to optimize it as quickly as possible is kind of the mindset that you need to have. Is it doesn't have to be perfect now. What you have to do is work and continue to refine to make it better. Kind of similar to how nobody's a perfect person, but you have to work every day to continue to be better.
When I think about the mission of your two companies, I also think of something that really impressed me when I was in Italy one summer, and that's that in front of civic buildings in major cities, there were tables set up where if someone had problem with literacy or found it too difficult to fill out a government form, they could walk out to the table and there would be a person there that would help them fill it out. And I thought, well, isn't that a good idea? Because of course, some of these forms get to be complicated. How do you apply for a pension? Or how do you apply for that? Well, it could be that they needed a little assistance doing it. And well, I think it's a very worthwhile thing that you're doing in that way.
Truly.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think maybe it's the Italian culture rubbing off on me, but there's that like inherent respect for the older generations. Like my nonni, they're pretty much like my second parents, pretty much. They pretty much raised me when my parents were at work. And yeah, I think it's just having that profound respect and keeping them involved in everything. Because I experienced the same thing where my cousins in Italy did the exact same thing that I did for my grandparents, where they taught my great aunts and great uncles how to use these online platforms.
Yeah, wonderful. And if people want to know more about your work, how can they find you?
They can find me. So we have for Up to Speed, it's Up to Speed U, so UPTOSPEED techserve.you.com. TechServe is www.techserve.com, techserve.com. And then they could also email us on the Up to Speed side at admin@uptospeedu.com, or for TechServe, it's techservetoronto@gmail.com.
Perfect. So Daniel, this was such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to working with you and others in the space to, help seniors stay connected.
Thank you. Thank you so much.